This video is brought to you by BossRootin.com, Palanti Watches available at MMAoverload.com, Cage Alliance Fight Brand, and Power Performance Products, makers of Body Storm and Body Effects.
Hey, we're the Tattoo Palace Ring Girls. Check out ProBoxingSupplies.com for all of your MMA needs.
Spencer Lazara, MMAinterviews.tv, alongside Mauro Ranallo. Pretty good fights tonight. What'd you think?
Yeah, not a bad night of fights here in Dallas. Obviously, the focus was on the Strikeforce World Heavyweight Grand Prix quarterfinal tilts, and Josh Barnett, who it's been 2.5 years since we've seen him fight in North America due to the issues he's had with the California State Athletic Commission and those positive steroid tests, which he continues to contend that, you know, he never took steroids. So, you know, it's the he said, the test results are what they are. But when you take that away, Josh Barnett is without a doubt one of the top heavyweights in the sport, the catch wrestling specialist. And tonight we saw what he was able to do against Brett Rogers, and able to submit him with the side choke, the arm triangle choke, now setting up a semifinal matchup with Sergey Haratonov. And Josh Barnett, like I say, a guy who also has a little bit of that pro wrestling flavor, as we heard not only in his post-fight promo, but I don't know if you saw the workouts, but the pro wrestling exhibition with one of his main sparring partners, Eric Hammer. So when you think sports entertainment, you think Josh Barnett.
Do you think him and Overeem silenced some of those critics? Because a lot of people don't put them in the top 5, and some even not even in the top 10, which is just ridiculous to me.
Yeah, you know, rankings, and I've been around the sport a long time, and with something like mixed martial arts, in the fact that it's so, you know, you have judges. So, I mean, wins and losses can come because of someone's opinion, and rankings, I guess they're a necessity. But when you look at Alistair Overeem, regardless of what you think about, you know, the heavyweight division as a whole, we got Cain Velasquez about to battle Junior Dos Santos for the UFC heavyweight title coming up later this year. Alistair Overeem, I just finished interviewing him myself. Not 100% happy with his performance. And in fact, though, he said it takes two to tango, and he's right. I think this was a tale of two different fighters. He's coming off, of course, his lone submission to a hold was against Fabricio Werdum in 2006. Werdum obviously wanted this fight on the ground. Overeem obviously wanted the fight in the stand-up. It was the first time as a mixed martial artist that Overeem has gone the distance. So in a roundabout way, that's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing, because I feel Overeem may be too big. And I asked him about this, and I talked to his trainer as well. If he were to lose 5 or 10 pounds of the muscle and still be as strong as he is, in MMA it's all about functional strength, and I think it would quicken his pace, and he wouldn't lose any of that punching power that he is noted for. So that may be something they want to address, although having said that, he now faces an equally big guy, if not bigger, in Antonio Silva coming up in the semifinals. Silva coming off a tremendous victory over Fyodor Emelianenko, and Silva, a BJJ black belt. Overeem thinks that Silva's also going to want to take him to the ground, and you know, he's just hoping someone will engage him in a stand-up affair. But again, when you are the first reigning MMA champion to win the K1 World Heavyweight Grand Prix, very, very impressive, but also, you know, that's an advertisement that maybe you don't want to stand with the guy.
Yeah. I love that Overeem is always stalking when you see him. Obviously tonight you had to see a different Overeem because he couldn't just stalk, but usually he's just walking guys down. Never scared to stand in front of anybody and just ready to give him the uber knee.
Exactly, and he was able to mix in the strikes. He hurt Fabricio Werdum, able to stuff the takedowns, able to manhandle him at times. But conversely, Fabricio Werdum, Abu Dhabi champion, BJJ black belt, but kudos have to go out to the guys like Rafael Cordero, one of the best Muay Thai trainers in the sport, cut his teeth at Shooter Box, now has his own gym, King's MMA. Werdum was able to tag Overeem a couple of times tonight. He showed marked improvement in his stand-up, but unfortunately didn't do it enough to where there was any real flow to the fight, and actually used his striking to just kind of flop to the ground. And there was you know, you go back to the Fedor Emelianenko fight last June. A lot of people thought that Fedor Emelianenko connected on the punch that sent Werdum to the ground. He told us, and in fact, even during the fight, he baited him. He pretended that, yeah, you got me, and come on down. And it was shocking that not only did Fyodor Emelianenko go into the guard, which we've seen him do many times against Nogueira, and that's his style, ground and pound, but then he did it again, and that's what cost him. So overall, very, you know, impressive wins for Barnett. Maybe not the most impressive victory for Overeem, but also this is, you know, it's a marathon, not a sprint. They have a couple of more fights to go to crown the champion, and I was very impressed with Jorge Masvidal, and a dominant performance against KJ Noons, who many people, you know, including myself, thought maybe had some of the best striking boxing in his division and in Strikeforce. But Jorge Masvidal, well-rounded, American top team. Here's a guy, you know, when you talk about grew up on the mean streets of Miami, he literally was a street fighter with Kimbo Slice's company, and now has legitimized himself. And as you know, as far as I'm concerned, although Scott Coker at the post-fight press conference didn't officially announce it, it most likely will be Masvidal challenging Gilbert Melendez for the Strikeforce lightweight title.
Yes, I thought him and also Daniel Cormier showed marked improvement in his stand-up. Were the two most impressive tonight.
Daniel Cormier is, you know, I'm an announcer, journalist, call me what you will, not supposed to get too close to these guys. How can anyone not root for a guy like Daniel Cormier, who, of course, a two-time U.S. Olympic wrestling representative for the United States, including being a captain of the 2008 team, unfortunately could not represent the country because of kidney failure, because of all the weight-cutting issues. But going to AKA, we saw it in the fight against Devin Cole the first time he went the distance. Tonight, did it again against a veteran like Jeff Monson. Let's face it, Jeff Monson is a tough out. Has only been stopped, you know, you can count the number of times on your hand and have many fingers left over. Monson, a tough veteran, although he told me on my radio show earlier this week and confirmed it here this weekend, he is, win or lose, well, he lost, is going down to 205 pounds. Although I don't know, at 40 years of age, I know they say the 40 is the new 30. I don't know where Monson goes from here. For Cormier, tremendous performance, now 8-0, and again, a guy who has had his fair. Everyone has a story. We all have gone through our own trials and tribulations. Here's a guy who lost his father at 7. He was murdered. His one of his great friends was killed in a plane crash, and then the biggest loss for him in terms of where he is in his life was in 2003 when he lost his 3.5-month-old daughter, Kaden, in a car accident that literally almost ended his life. He was shacked up in his room, put black curtains along the windows, and he thought his life was over, and yet has now used that loss to not only motivate himself to success in wrestling, but now in MMA. And the happy part of this, he's now the father of a 4-month-old son, Daniel, and a guy who I think is really on the upswing in the heavyweight division. And again, let's not forget, he's only had 8 fights, and I think the way that he is being handled by Strikeforce, the way he's being handled by his coaching staff, I see very good things in Daniel Cormier's future.
Really appreciate the time, Mauro. You've had a long night, so I really appreciate you taking out the time to talk to us. I'm Spencer Lazar at MMAinterviews.tv.
Godspeed and party on.